That will be a wrap for our ball season for the South Carolina Gamecocks on the court. For the men's team, at least the women's team, we're going to go win a natty. I'm sure of it. But for the men's team right now, there's a lot of things you could say about this season. Yes, the season's over. But there's... I don't want to come out here and just be negative like that. I'm not that fan. Yes, I have my moments where I am frustrated with the team. Trust me, as a Chicago Bears fan, I definitely get more frustrated with them than I do the Gamecocks. I just think I like the Gamecocks more, and the Bears just tick me off sometimes. But I get frustrated with my program. I get frustrated with my team when they aren't performing, when I know that we could have done so much better and got to that point. And I get frustrated, and I go out, and I have my little rants or whatever. But what is me ranting about this season going to do for you guys? For you people watching this video? Speaking of watching things, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the Gamecock fans that actually went through and watched all the rest of the games this season, because that, as a sports fan, I consider myself a massive sports fan. Like, that's something I did. I watched all the rest of the Gamecocks games for the rest of the year, even though it was tough. It was tough at some points. Like, it wasn't like we were going out and we were playing for anything. My team's playing, I turn on the TV, I watch the game. That's just how it goes. But I have mad respect for those fans, because those fans win. Good times finally hit. Just when we win eventually, because it will happen. There will be a day that Gamecocks basketball gets back to a Final Four like we did in 2017, maybe a national championship. And yes, I'm not talking like in the next 5 years. I'm not talking next year, but if you look the next 100 years down the road, the next 1,000 years, probably will happen again. You might not be alive for that, but if you are lucky enough to be alive for that moment when the Gamecocks finally get good again, you being a fan that has sat through and been through all these times, games like these, seasons like these, where it just wasn't clicking, and you still sat through it, you still supported your team, it's going to feel that much better. So first of all, a huge shout out to Gamecock Nation, who stuck through and pulled through for their teams. And yes, basketball isn't football. Basketball isn't going to get the same attention that football is, but there's still a lot of people in this fan base that love basketball. Me included, I love football more than basketball. I don't think it's any secret that I love football more than basketball, but I still love this basketball team to death. Still going to watch them for the next seasons to come, regardless of what they put on the court this season. So first off, huge shout out to Gamecock Nation. This season, Frank Martin, yes, everyone's going to be on his hot seat. Get rid of Frank Martin. Do this. Get rid of Frank. After this season, it was a bad season. First of all, the COVID excuse, that's the toughest thing, because you're going to have two sides of the arguments. You're going to have the people that are like, every other team had to deal with COVID, every other team had to do it. And then you're going to have the other side that is like, South Carolina dealt with it way worse than other teams. I'm just throwing my hands up in the air, and I don't know what to say this season. All I can say is that this season was an outlier. It was a disappointing season, don't get me wrong. We had the talent on our team to do something really special, and especially that we lose A.J. Lawson most likely next year. Canadian Cock Talk, obviously that's what we're on. So I loved watching A.J. Lawson over his career, especially from him growing up 40 minutes down the road for where I live, seeing a kid like that go on, play for my favorite team, which is out in the middle of nowhere. For people in Canada, to go to South Carolina, people don't know the Gamecocks up here. People don't know the Gamecocks. So for him to go play for the Gamecocks was really, really fun for me to watch that. I had a Canadian on my team. Now I got two, because Minot's also from Canada. He's from up in Quebec. But so it's sad that Lawson's going. We still got talent on this team. I still believe that for the next couple of years, we'll still have talent. But Frank Martin, it's not time to fire him right now. To each his own, to your own opinions, there are going to be people, and I know people want him fired right now. It's not going to make a difference right now, guys. There's a lot more under the coaching that needs to be fixed about this basketball program. And maybe not. I'm not a basketball insider. Again, I'm not in this program. It's immature for me to talk about this basketball program like I'm spending each and every single day in it. Everything might just be fine, and it was just an off year. It was just a year where things didn't click. I can't make a 100% truthful statement towards what is going on in our basketball program right now because I don't know. I'm just not in it. I'm not media. I'm some 18-year-old kid from Toronto, Canada, giving my opinion on what I see from my television 15 hours away from Columbia, South Carolina, from what's actually going on in that program. I don't think it's time to fire Frank Martin. You could disagree, but I don't think it's time. Give him one more season. He has something to prove coming into next season. He has that chip on his shoulder. He knows the talk that's going around him about people wanting him fired. Let's see what he is. Let's see what he does, because if you want to challenge Frank Martin, I guarantee you he'll step up to the plate. Whether his team performs or not, I guarantee you he will accept that challenge. So give the man one more year. It was a bad year this year. It's been a rough, I don't want to say they've been terrible seasons the last couple of years, but to only make one NCAA appearance, NCAA tournament appearance, yes, it's not what you want to see, but give him one more year. If that year doesn't go well, that's when I think the talk about firing him or whatever. But to come out here and say fire Frank Martin right now. Now I could literally pick up my phone right now and get tweets that Frank Martin has been fired. And I wouldn't say I'd be surprised. I'd disagree a bit because I don't think it's the right time. But again, that's just my opinion. You could have a completely different one. But I just don't think it's time. Not right now. It was a bad season. It was the craziest year that maybe we've ever faced in the history of mankind. And for you to tell a guy that has poured his heart and his soul into this basketball program, who has got us to somewhere where I don't think I ever imagined we get us to in the Final Four. I'm not even the biggest Frank Martin fan, and I'm saying this. Like, I'm not a guy who's got Frank Martin t-shirts and have pictures of Frank Martin all up over my wall or whatever. I'm not the biggest Frank Martin guy at all, but as a Gamecocks fan, as a guy that watches every single game of this team, it's not time to fire him. This whole season, this whole year as a whole has been crap for everyone. Let Frank Martin use this season as motivation for next season. See if he steps up to the plate, and that's where you're going to see the head ball coach for South Carolina and what kind of guy you got at the head coaching staff right now. So that's all I got to say about this season and the whole Frank Martin situation. Kind of a farewell to AJ Lawson because it was a fun ride with him. Love watching him, and that's all for this Canadian Cock Talk. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Definitely come back next time.